Hi everybody and welcome again to Watkins Glen International for this race, the Coca-Cola 150 for the Keystone Light Supertruck Series right here on our Racin Motorsports network. I am Sean Fay, creator and owner of Racin Motorsports. I will be commentating as well alongside my colleague Jimmy Powell, who is unfortunately dealing with some severe thunderstorms where he lives in his neck of the woods. So I will be handling the streaming capabilities for tonight. And today, rather, since we're starting a little early today at 3 p.m. Eastern, due to the 6 p.m. start of the Coca-Cola 600 a little later today, we figured the drivers would want to get this race done and over with so we can all watch together at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600 for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. But I have alongside me Jimmy Powell, who will be joining us alongside. Jimmy, hope you're staying alive there from the weather.
Well, I'm alive right now, but probably here in about 2 minutes I might be gone, going vortex surfing as I call it, but hopefully everything will be good. I think the tornado is going to be passing us by here soon, and then the storm is actually going to hit, which will be the fun part.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Almost as fun as the crash here with one of our new drivers. Again, another new driver coming to RNR here. Jonathan Fitzwater, who has just made a collision with, I believe it was Kurt Scott at number 15. But right now...
that was the number 1 of...
Cameron Reichenbach, that's what it was. Yep, so he is at the top.
Johnny Gardner coming out of pit road in the number 8. Can't tell what the sponsor is, but I think that's Joey Logano's... no, it's Fitzgerald... something. Well, it's Fitzgerald.
I believe it's Fitzgerald Supplies, which is actually Brad Keselowski's sponsor in the NASCAR Xfinity Series currently right now. As a matter of fact, I might as well plug Brad Keselowski because he did win the Xfinity Series race at Charlotte last night, or yesterday afternoon rather, so congratulations to him on that one.
Race, actually, I don't even know what that was.
I've never heard of it either. But as we see Johnny Gardner coming around here, at the top of the board right now is Jonathan Fitzwater with a 1:12.540. That's about the fastest lap I've ever seen at Watkins Glen. I don't know about you, Jimmy.
Well, this is definitely the fastest one I've seen in this session. I remember we were doing a fun race here, and somebody ran a 1:10 somehow. But I don't think we're going to be able to see that kind of speed here, especially given the time that we have left, 12 minutes and 11 seconds, but definitely a fast time for Fitzwater, and especially for his first run here.
Especially, yeah, and then right behind him in second place is Cameron Reichenbach, number 1 with a 1:13.1.
Johnny Gardner right at the entrance to pit road. Not sure exactly why, but he is.
Yeah, that's a little interesting. The 68 of David Alvarez in third with a 1:14.575. Zachary Stecker with a 1:15.118. Johnny Gardner
Kurt Scott is off the bus stop chicane. He is vertical somehow, and Fitzwater is on top of the tire barrier. What is going on here? The bus stop is very busy right now.
Very busy indeed as we will take a look at Kurt Scott completely flipped upside down in the middle of the catch fence there. So that's something you'll never see in real life there. That's NR2003 for you.
And Zach Stecker just goes by without any care.
Cameron Reichenbach.
It's just an average day at Watkins Glen.
Cameron Reichenbach getting a little loose out of the bus stop into turn 6, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Johnny Gardner he wrecked out too. Man, how... Seems like the bus stop is either giving people trouble or that's just the fun zone for everybody.
And we have Jonathan Fitzwater sitting on top of the tire barrier that I believe is pretty much right where Kurt Scott is. Kurt Scott trying to move around, trying to get out of there. And Jonathan Fitzwater sitting right on top of the tire barrier going into turn 6.
And given the internet connections of some of these guys, going through the S's is going to be something to watch out for because you could have guys just like glitch right into another guy and just take out the whole field, and that could very well happen on the starts and the restarts. So we might have to watch out for any sort of like restart commitment lap stuff. I forgot what that was all about, but
As Cameron Reichenbach decides to have a little fun with the bus stop, and yeah, that did not work out well for him as he hit the wall. And he heads back out on track once more. So obviously we still have another just under 10 minutes left of practice. And again, it is kind of an early start for these guys. Usually it's 7 p.m. start time for practice. These guys started all the way at 3 o'clock, just about 50 minutes ago at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. An early start for these guys since, as I had just stated earlier, the Coca-Cola 600 is at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I figured a lot of these drivers are they're gonna want to watch that rather than be out on the track racing. I mean, who would want to miss the Coca-Cola 600? So in this case, we figured to get the guys in early, get the race done and over with, so that way these drivers we can all hang out together and watch the Coca-Cola 600, just as I hope you will, as we complete this Keystone Light Supertruck Series race here at Watkins Glen. The Coca-Cola 150 at Watkins Glen International, Watkins Glen 2017 to be exact, right here on the Rubbin Racing Motorsports Network.
this might be the most polished Watkins Glen track that has been produced by anybody for NR2003, and I've driven on it multiple times, and I can tell you that it's a very well polished track, and I think that I don't think drivers will have too much issues with driving through it. The only thing that I've had trouble with, at least at Watkins Glen in general, is that you really need to have softer brakes here, because you don't want to skid the tires going through. It's going to wear down your tires and pretty quick, and so you have to really save your tires here anyways, because this track does like to eat them up.
Yeah, I might want to challenge you on that statement there, Jimmy, as we see Zachary Stecker in the 56 completely drive through the cones and the bus stop, and the cones didn't even move. He literally drove right through the cones. But then again, maybe that's an NR2003 thing. I didn't say
it was perfect.
I don't know, Jimmy. Polished and perfect might kind of combine itself together. Then again, why do I even talk? But anyways, enough of my tomfoolery.
And Johnny Gardner is also into a wall. He is stuck in the safer barrier.
He's decided to join Kurt Scott being stuck into the fence there, as we see Jonathan Fitzwater just decide, I'm just going to have fun and crash into Johnny.
Johnny's also he's also taking over for Rob Evans today, driving his truck.
Yes.
Because he could not make it out.
And as you can clearly see, folks, practice usually ends up being recess time for these guys, as they've obviously clocked their times in the beginning. And some like to use the whole time, others like to use some of that time. And yeah, the rest is just recess, as you've coined earlier in past races there, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah. I just think that with the way that some people's internet connections are, we could see some restarts happen, and it's unfortunate because we don't like to have a lot of restarts in these races, but sometimes it just happens.
It is what it is, Jimmy. But even still, I believe still at the top of the board, it is correct. Jonathan Fitzwater still at the top of that 112.5. I would say as these drivers still crash into the wall, everybody's just hanging out at the bus stop there, right up against that catch fence. I would say it's safe to say that these times are going to stay the same, as the rest of these drivers are clearly just having recess, waiting to qualify. So
the only drivers that are actually close to each other in times are 4th, 5th, and 6th. That would be Zach Stecker, Johnny Gardner, and 15 of Kurt Scott. And they are just separated by about 4/10 each. And surprisingly, 5th and 6th are tied with a 1:15.568. Did not really expect to see that here, but they are tied for 5th and 6th. But that doesn't really say much considering they are in 5th and 6th.
Nothing like a tie for last place.
It's going to be a runaway battle between the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd positions.
Yeah, nothing like a tie for last place here with a 1:15.568. Incredible stuff from Johnny Gardner and Kurt Scott, that's for sure. But again, as you've noted earlier, Johnny, Johnny, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Jimmy, yeah. I apologize, as you were saying earlier, Jimmy. Johnny Gardner is subbing in for Rob Evans for the whole weekend. He's already subbed for him in the main NASCAR series, as well as the, Supreme All Dirt Slugfest race that was supposed to occur, but then again we ran into some technical difficulties with the track itself, which Yeah, it clearly wasn't expecting the track to crash the instant that the green flag would come out. But again, it's unfortunate circumstances. But yeah, I don't know what else to really say about that. But yes, he is subbing in again for Rob Evans tonight, who's away for the weekend. So definitely, hopefully, he can put on a good performance there for Rob Evans today. Whatever.
And hopefully Rob Evans will be back next week, because next week is Johnny Gardner's birthday weekend. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to allow him to come up to the booth with me, and we're going to be commentating together on the races this weekend. Ignore the thunder back there. It's not raining in New York. It's raining in West Virginia. But yeah, we'll have Johnny Gardner up in the booth, and that should be a lot of fun for him. And hopefully it'll be fun for everybody out there as well, because it's always nice to have a good change every once in a while.
As we see these trucks wrecking and spinning everywhere, it's just, again, as it's been said several times, and will be said again,
like going vertical still.
And it will be said several more times. It's just recess time at this point, with still about 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to practice, and Cameron Reichenbach completely just flying into the turn 1 barrier there. That was very interesting stuff from him.
Well, I'm just surprised that first, second, and third are that far separated. And it looks like Zach Secker is actually pulling away from 5th and 6th as well, so it might actually just be a pretty spread out battle.
It could be, Johnny, but then again, back at the Classic Cup Series, which raced at Watkins Glen next till 06, then again, we did have an I change with that track, which had the same grip, both I think it was the grip, heat, and wear levels for this very track. So then again, at that race, we had some pretty decent racing halfway through, but by the end of it, by the second half of it, it was very spread out. And of course, we ended up with 2 finishers, being David Alvarez and Andrew Miller. So obviously, we'll have to figure out if that will occur again today. Then again, it's only 18 laps here for the Coca-Cola 150. Only 18 as opposed to...
You'd think that 18 laps would be pretty short, but actually it takes about a minute for these guys to get around here. So, I mean, I guess you could say that the race will be 20 minutes long, but considering all that goes into a lap, it might actually just be about a half an hour, which, again, is pretty short for these kinds of races, but it is pretty long for what it is.
Yes, and definitely it's very interesting as opposed to the 45 laps that the NASCAR Classic Cup Series did. Now we have 18 laps here at Watkins Glen 2017.
And I'll point this out. The top 3 we had for last week, which was the 29 of Phil Parker, Noah Maholsky in the number 3, and Travis Rowland in the 00 are not here right now, and that's pretty interesting. We got 3 of the ones who did really well not here out on the track today, so leaves up to these guys a little more leeway to compete.
And hopefully, too, it'll give them a nice points advantage over those 3 that you had mentioned that are not here. I did see Noah Maholsky. He entered the server, but has since disappeared. So I don't know if maybe it was a last-minute, oh, crap, I can't race type of deal or something like that. But yeah, definitely it's interesting to see those.
We did see earlier that in the other races that he did have some internet trouble, so it might have been he just got booted out.
Yeah, it could have been something like that, or maybe, but bottom line, it is interesting to see those 3 drivers who did do well last week. Well, actually, Travis Rowland being the first to wreck out at Auto Club, as well as a bunch of the others as well. But definitely, it'll be a points advantage for these drivers who did show up today against those who did not, as obvious as that sounds.
But yeah, we got 3 competitors out of the rest that aren't here, and this is usually the series that gets the most drivers in it. And it seems like just this weekend, it's just been a pretty like sullen lineup in most series. But this is, I think, by far the most drivers we've had in a race this weekend. So I mean, it's still a pretty big number, but we still could have had probably about 9 or 10 if they were here, but it's all right. We still got 6 eligible drivers that are able to handle these race trucks around here, so it still should be a fun and exciting race nonetheless.
I do agree, Jimmy, that it could have been more, but I'm pretty sure this ain't the most that we've had the whole weekend. I believe it's about the same, because I believe with Classic Cup, it was about, I think it was about the same, like 6 drivers, something like that. But it's even now, but definitely this is one series that tends to get the most drivers, but unfortunately, I'm not sure. Maybe it's the road, maybe it's just the fact that it's a road course, not quite sure, but it definitely, it's very interesting to see only 6 trucks here as opposed to the usual 10 we've been getting. Or so, 9 or 10. But as we make that note, it is pretty much the conclusion of practice. So just in about another 25 seconds, we'll probably get another sort of 15 seconds after that, or 10 or 5 or whatever, and then we will head on to qualifying, where these drivers will be able to clock their times and see who can reach the top of the board.
And it's always like heartbreaking for me, because like if they had a little bit more development time, they probably could have had like an individual qualifying system. I remember when we were talking about the series before it actually like started, I had the idea of where we could use the practice time as a qualifying time, and then somehow input that for the race. I don't know how exactly that would work, but if we could find a way to make that work, I think that would be cool for the drivers to see people go out individually. Then you'd be able to see the cars as they make their times around.
Absolutely,
right,
Jimmy, as we reach qualifying here.
So now it's
just like I told these boys in the meeting, we don't need anything over the top today. We got a good race car, we got a good driver, we got a good pit crew.
So again, we have qualifying coming up here, where at the top left-hand corner of your screen, you will see the qualifying times as they read out. So hopefully you'll be able to, well, be able to figure out who will reach the top of the board. Again, I mean, in our heads, we can kind of guess who it's going to be, but we want to leave it up to everybody who can to have a chance at the top.
Well, you never know. Somebody could have a really fast qualifying setup, but they might have a really slow race setup. So we'll have to see here. I mean, you have happy hour to like adjust whatever you have, but you can't go out on the racetrack because it's pre-race ceremonies. But they'll be able to tune their setups however they need to, and we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Of course, these laps are a little longer than usual, so it might take a little bit longer than usual to see who can reach the top there. We still have quite a lot of time for these drivers cycle around to take their first lap. We'll have to see where that goes from there. And
they're going to be cutting this time pretty close, I think. We only have 5 minutes qualifying time. They're probably gonna. They're probably just getting through the line now and now starting their first laps. So it'll probably be around like 30 seconds once we actually see the last times roll through.
Absolutely, Jimmy. And it'll be nice to get this done, because the next weekend, come join us at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we'll have the NRA night race over at Bristol Motor Speedway. It'll be a nice night race under the lights, short track racing over at Bristol Motor Speedway. To be exact, Bristol Night 2014 FSE. The drivers will be racing for the NRA night race. It'll be for the Keystone Light Supertruck Series, and it'll be right here on the Racin Motorsports Network. And this is the final race as well for the weekend, so we'll be back up this coming Friday for Classic Cup racing at Coca-Cola Super Speedway. And that'll be definitely exciting to see, as the drivers still haven't come across the line yet. We'll hopefully get some times coming in shortly.
You can see, well, I mean, this is a road course, so really anything could happen in these qualifying laps. There's a lot more margin for error at these tracks, so it could be that all of them just wreck out now. So you never know. Or it could be that nobody's going to qualify for today.
Which I don't know if I would agree with that, and on top of that, that would be very strange to see, but some of these drivers might elect to keep it safe. However, Johnny Gardner did choose to qualify with a 1:18.362 up at the top of the board. We'll have to see if anybody else. David Alvarez with a 1:14.457.
4 seconds over, wow.
Clearly, Johnny must be behind the pace there. We'll have to see if anybody else can hit the top of that board, or if anybody else can even just get on the board in general. We'll have to see for sure. But so far, only 2 trucks have qualified for the Coca-Cola 150. If the others do not qualify, once they get to the race session, it will jumble up. It'll basically shuffle the order, and wherever those drivers will get is where they will start for this Coca-Cola 150.
I'm starting to think that it's only going to be 2 guys qualifying. There's nobody else coming through right now, unless somebody got a late start on this. And they're only going to be doing 1 lap around this track, so that will be their final times. Usually it would be 2 laps that you do around a track, but since this is a road course, you only have to do 1 single lap around here, and then that's when your final time comes through.
Yeah, but I would say that's safe to... I think it'd be a really good guess there, Jimmy, because we're already 45 seconds left of qualifying. I think it is safe to say at this point, David Alvarez will be your pole sitter for today with a 114.457. Johnny Gardner in second with a 118.362. So I guess the good thing about, especially in Johnny Gardner's case, subbing for Rob Evans, the good thing in his case is he did qualify, so all the others don't. He will at least be on the front row to start.
And that could also be that also could be detrimental to the guys behind him, because if his race setup is slow, then they would have to take their time to go around him to get up to the front position. So it's a double-edged sword in this case. One thing that you have to consider is that you got a lot of people who are on top of the board in practice right behind the 68 and 8. So they're going to have to watch out for these guys coming through and see if they can keep them behind.
Alrighty, so I think we have approached happy hour, and it's safe to say it is time we head down trackside for the pre-race ceremonies right here on the Rubbin Racin Motorsports Network. And now for the invocation.
Let us pray. Our Father, we praise you today for a beautiful weather to go racing. Lord, we thank you for loving us only as you can love us. Lord, we pray for the protection of all the drivers and the pit crews today. And Lord, we pray that you will protect our military men and women that protect our great nation. And may we always remember, in God we trust, for it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now, for the singing of our nation's national anthem. Alrighty, and the drivers will be pretty soon to strap in, just in about under 2.5 minutes. The drivers will be strapped in, ready to go to start the Coca-Cola 150 right here at Watkins Glen International, Watkins Glen 2017 to be exact. And I would say it, Jimmy, but I don't want to jinx ourselves today.
Well, I think that it's going to be a cool race. Maybe not as exciting as some of the other ones, although this is the first road course race that we have done for Rubbin and Racin Motorsports, and we've seen from the fun races that they can get pretty wacky. But hopefully it'll be a little more professional this time around. And I think that they're going to at least try to keep their distance, because they know how netcode can be with these races, especially through the S's. If we can get through the S's clean, we can pretty much expect the rest of the laps to be pretty good.
Absolutely, Jimmy. We just have under a minute and a half to go. I can see here through all the entries, it looks like Johnny Gardner has disconnected. I do know he had some time constraints for this race, so maybe he decided to not race today. I keep saying tonight, but I'm not quite too sure what his circumstance might be. But it looks like he has stepped out as far as the race is concerned right now. He has stepped out, so there's just under a minute, just about a minute to go, as we will see David Alvarez up in first, and, well, Johnny Gardner did qualify in second with a 1:18.362. Not quite too sure, since obviously he's disconnected at this point. Now, obviously, I'm going to assume he's not going to end up taking the start. So that might mean somebody else can take that second place spot to start up in the field. And as Jimmy stated earlier, it's definitely a double-edged sword to be up in the front of the field. Either you are the first truck out there and you hopefully can fly away and pass the leader on the first lap, or you're too slow and you hold up the trucks behind you and it starts up a big pile-up that could mean the restart to this race. Because again, we have the restart commitment lap that can be used. In this case, if we have to get past lap 2, if we cannot get past lap 2 and there's a crash that occurs, we have 3 restarts. Once we bruise all 3 of them, then we just continue from that point on. No restarts whatsoever. So as NR2003 finally will decide when to start the race, we will get going just under 10 seconds, possibly more. We get 1 second, and then another 9. Of course, that's NR2003's favorite thing to do, is just tease you. But, without further ado, we have sunny skies. Actually, no, that's a lie. Cloudy.
Just like I told these boys
We are
in the meeting, we don't
cloudy
need
here with
anything over the
94
top today. We got a
degrees
good race
Fahrenheit,
car, we got a good
a
driver,
northwest
we got a good
wind
pit crew.
at about 6 to 7 miles an hour. So it'll be very interesting to see how the cloudy conditions handle with these drivers here. Again, we have Johnny Gardner, who I don't believe he's going to be out on track since he's disconnected. But David Alvarez will be your pole sitter. And Johnny Gardner did qualify in second. All the rest of the drivers did not qualify. And it looks as if we want to take a look here, it looks as if David Alvarez will be in first, obviously your pole sitter. My guess would be that Zachary Stecker in the 56 will be taking second. Kurt Scott in the 15 will be in third. We'll have Jonathan Fitzwater behind him in fourth.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the command is given to start the trucks and get them going, but to finish my point, Cameron Reichenbach will be the number 1 truck. He will be in sixth, I believe. Fifth, one of the 2.
And they're rolling off.
And
David
yes,
Alvarez.
they are rolling off.
You said something about Johnny Gardner disconnecting. That's pretty unfortunate. So
I do know he had some time constraints as he has some other events going on Sundays, so that might be what will tell the story. But hopefully this could be an excitement for the 15 of Kurt Scott, as he will actually take the second place spot.
all right, now they're gonna make their full lap around. It will take a little bit for them to get around, but we should see a pretty eventful race today. Hopefully everything will stay smooth. They won't try to wreck each other out. We just have a fun, clean race, but a tight one.
Absolutely. So we still have a lot of time, as you just said. As we aren't even to the bus stop yet. We're barely there. So obviously, when the truck peels down pit road, these trucks will get going for 18 laps. Which again sounds short, but maybe it's for the better. Obviously, given the Classic Cup race finish, maybe it is better off that these drivers don't have that much to deal with as far as laps is concerned. So that way, hopefully, we can keep as many trucks as possible on the track, and we won't have to deal with any more retirements.
Let's just we'll just hope that it's going to be a nice clean race today, and it should be. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but just being hopeful, you know.
It's all we can hope for, Jimmy. As we just got through turn 6, as the drivers head down this straightaway.
So there's a 029 on the field, and I'm not sure what exactly that's all about. Kilojoules.
That is another driver that I was just speaking to earlier, who actually is racing today. Not sure what his name is, not off the top of my head. I believe his name is Julian, that's for sure, as far as I know. I believe Julian Wilson, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he's on the track now. I just didn't expect him to be there, but
he was a last-minute entry, but he did make it. And we're heading down pit road here as the truck comes out pit road for the second most famous words in motorsports.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go road racing, drivers!
And they're off here at Watkins Glen. Turn 1 coming up here. We'll see who can take the lead. Kurt Scott takes that lead. And David Alvarez trying to challenge, but cannot do so. Surprising, turn 1 was pretty clean there, as Kurt Scott now is your new leader here at Watkins Glen.
Oh, 56 hit the wall back there.
We can take a look,
and
he's
around,
spinning around a bit smoke.
He skidded around, and he's good now. Everybody makes it up through clean through the S's, now going down towards the bus stop.
As we take a look back on the replay, he did kind of go wide into that turn and hit the wall, and I think he kind of spun his tires a bit as he tried to get back out on the track.
Back there, David Alvarez trying to move him out of the way.
And Kurt Scott still in that lead. Coming into turn 10, David Alvarez breaks late and takes the new lead now as Kurt Scott tries to challenge.
Right back on the outside, can't do it there. Looks like David Alvarez is through to P1.
Zachary Stecker in that 56 trailing all the way back there after that hard hit into the wall and spinning his tires a little bit. That definitely made for some bad moments for him, as the 05 of Jonathan Fitzwater looking to make a move, and he does. He passes Kurt Scott. Looks like another truck wants to make a move as well. Believe that's Cameron Reichenbach in the 1, and he slides in the inside. So already 2 spots down, maybe even 3 if I'm not mistaken, from Kurt Scott. All the way from the front to now, I believe 4th or 5th. One of the 2.
And now David has a concern here because Fitzwater is very fast right now, and he's about a second faster than him. So he's going to have to see if he can find some speed elsewhere, because he definitely needs to maintain his lead right now.
And absolutely, Jimmy, it might just be a matter of time before that 05 truck can pass him. So we'll have to see for sure if that does indeed happen.
We seem a bit even here, but it seems like the 05 is just a little bit better on exits. So you'll have to look here. He might get a run here. Wasn't that good, but it's still David Alvarez out in front.
And there's a caution out. The caution is out, and we'll have to see. I believe it was the 029 of, I believe his name is Julian Williams. Maybe possibly been him. Doesn't look like so. We'll have to just figure out what exactly occurred there.
It looks like to me that the main advantage that Fitzwater has over everybody else is that he has softer brakes. Everybody seems to be being pretty reckless going into the turns, and it's wearing down those tires. Looks like we got a caution out. But like I'm saying, Fitzwater just seems like he's getting through the corners a lot easier, and that will definitely help him out in the end.
As we can see here, yes, it was indeed the 029 of Julian Williams. I'm probably getting his name completely wrong, but hopefully I'm not. As we were coming through the bus stop there, it looks like he hit one of the rumble strips on the bus stop, got a little loose, and into the tire barrier. So that triggered the caution here, as we technically, if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy, I believe we haven't even completed the second lap yet.
I think we did complete the, yeah, we did complete the second lap.
As we try to go back on the replay
lap
here.
3 right now, as they're going down out of turn 7, I believe that would be, yeah.
So that'll be the first caution of the day early on here. Hopefully, we haven't lost too much. I believe the 029 or 028, I believe it is. He is still out. 029. He is still out on track. So, well, we can only hope he hasn't had a retirement coming in the wings.
Well, he's back there in 6th, and he's at least hanging on, like going pace lap speed. So. Hopefully everything will be alright there. It looked like the 15 just brake checked everybody back there, but it seems everything is fine now.
As we have
and
trucks
we got
coming.
Some, trucks going down pit road now. We'll see what kind of stops they make here as they make their way down the long pit road here. And one of the interesting things about this pit road is that if you're like up at the front 3 or so stops, your truck, if you don't hold it down with the brakes, it actually could roll off pretty easily off of the pit. So that's something to watch out for there. And it looks like everybody's going to be making left side adjustments right now. We'll see if any make right sides, which is a likely. Zach Stecker does it. It looks like it's only left sides for Kurt Scott, and we've got the 029 making some adjustments. But Kurt Scott's off first, and Zach Stecker will be second. And whenever he gets off, the 029 will be the third one off.
Yeah, and the 029, as we can see, and there he goes as he finally peels off of pit road. He will be the third off of pit road, and I believe it'll still put him in 6th place. I believe so, yes, as he will be in 2nd place. David Alvarez is still your leader. And Jonathan Fitzwater is back in 2nd. Cameron Reichenbach in 3rd. Kurt Scott 4th. Zachary Stecker 5th. And Julian Williams in 6th.
Oh, it looks like it wasn't even Kurt Scott's intention to only do left sides. So that's interesting. But that'll help him out through some of the left-hand corners. So I guess that'll be good for him.
Definitely. I mean, he obviously must not have had a good stop there coming into pit road.
But the thing is that you're doing left and right turns here. You're not just doing left turns. So what you want to do is that you want to have your car as balanced as possible. When you're making setups for these types of tracks, usually you'll have the weight all shifted to the left side, so you'll be able to corner easier. But the thing is, you're going through left and right turns back and forth, so what you want is that you want to have an even distribution of everything on your car or truck. And so this could be very interesting if they're using a different setup for a different track that isn't meant for road racing. And that could be the case for some of these guys in the back. But changing just the left sides isn't usually a wise choice with these tracks. You want to usually just do all tires or no tires.
Exactly, Jimmy. And the lights on the pace truck are already out, and he'll be peeling down pit road as we'll get restarted again here on lap number 4. And David Alvarez is still your leader. Jonathan Fitzwater up in the front row with him as we take the green flag right here to restart the Coca-Cola 150. Drivers come down to turn 1. Let's see what happens.
Gonna have a pretty good advantage here going into turn 1, and he does side by side. Oh, he got really
side by side, and the 05 gets loose and makes contact with the wall. He slides back all the way back.
I think that we don't have any caution. Nope. We stay green.
The pace truck is still down pit road, so no, looks like we're going to be staying green here. So tough break for the 05 as he throws front to back. David Alvarez still is your leader.
He's making a run here going into the bus stop. Don't know if it's going to be enough, though. He skids the tires there coming off that rumble strip. These guys really hit the rumble strips, which isn't really something you want to do. The 68 got really high there going through turn 7. So now they go down the one of the back straightaways, at least. I guess you could call it a back stretch. Going into turn 8, looking for turn 9. 15 trying real hard to get up to the first spot. Got really high off the corner, and that's going to make him lose some time. David Alvarez keeps his lead as they come down to complete yet another lap. They complete lap 5 into lap 6. We are 1/3 away from the end of this race.
Already, Jimmy, and we're on lap 6 to number 15, all the way to the wall.
Into the tire barriers, and that will be a caution.
The caution will come out for that one. The number 15 of Kurt Scott going very wide into the wall and into the tire barrier. That hopefully will not end his day, but definitely a tough break for him.
He just did not brake fast enough. He was trying to get it slowed down, but with all that speed he carried into turn 1, it just did not stop. There was just no way.
Yes, he went very wide, and he was coming in hot, especially in turn 1 there.
And they're still racing back to the line right now. David Alvarez is out in front. Cameron Reichenbach second place. I don't think there's going to be much contest for those positions. Surprisingly, the 029 is up into 3rd place now after having that issue early on, which brought out our first caution of the day. So that's good for him. Unfortunately, the 05, after getting into the tire barriers, isn't doing exactly well. He's got some right side damage that he'll have to address in pit road. Hopefully he'll be able to get that situated. But one of the dominant trucks of the day, at least in practice, is having some trouble today. And it will be the 68 who will come back first, and Cameron Reichenbach second place.
And it looks as if the number 15 of Kurt Scott will be retiring after that accident, so we will lose 1 truck. We'll have 5 trucks still out on the field, but yes, Kurt Scott will be retiring after that tough break, going very hot and very wide into turn 1, and that ends his day right there.
And it's unfortunate, because he actually had a pretty good truck. If he just made some adjustments throughout, might have been there for the win.
That number 68 of David Alvarez is very strong the entire outing. Obviously having to fight first Kurt Scott, then Jonathan Fitzwater as he got wide and hit into the wall. So definitely he is a tough truck to beat out here and possibly could even win this race as well as all the others as well.
David Alvarez seems to be pretty set up right now. He's got a fast truck on his belt right now. The only one that I could see really being a huge factor here is if the 05 can get some damage repaired here, and that could be possible that would help him out. The thing is that after hitting the tire barriers, it does mess up a lot on your car or truck. So I'm not sure if these repairs will do exactly everything for him, but it will help out nonetheless. As he goes down pit road, he's also got Zach Stecker and Kilo Jules going down with him in the 029. So we got 3 trucks out on the pits once again, and we'll see what they do here as they head down.
Zachary Stecker having the closest pit box to the line, so definitely an advantage for him as he doesn't have much to go as much as the other trucks do, but hopefully sometimes, I mean, it may prove to do more harm than good though sometimes. It all depends on how fast the pit stops are. As we can see, I believe we have a truck all the way at the end. Nope, Zachary Stecker will come across the line first with the 029 coming behind him. And Jonathan Fitzwater being held back for some damage, and hopefully they'll fix it in time for him to get back out on track eventually, but he's being held back just a little bit as his crew is repairing the damage on his truck. And there he goes as he's off the pit lane, off his pit box, and he'll be heading out back on the track. Probably dead last in 5th place at this point, since obviously he is the last to come out of pit road.
And a weather update from West Virginia here. We have rain that is falling down now at about 100 miles per hour. So if I lose connection, you'll probably see in the chat. So hopefully I'll be able to get this race done before everything goes down. But just a quick little heads up there.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Thankfully, nothing has occurred just yet, as we're already on lap 8 here.
The tornado warning is gone pretty much now, so really it's just about my house being halfway flooded. But, you know, it's whatever. I've always wanted an aquarium. Why not have it be half the house?
Why not, Jimmy? Why not?
David Alvarez out in front, and now that the 05 has some repairs, it's just a matter of whether or not those repairs were enough to get him up there to challenge for the lead once again. And we've seen where he's had power to pass pretty much anybody he wants. So it's just a matter of whether or not that truck is up to fighting performance.
Yeah, we'll have to.
From here, looking at it visually, it looks like that they got all the right side damage pretty much taken care of, but still not sure exactly if that's all it took. Because visually, it could look fine, but under the hood, it could be a whole different story.
Alrighty, pace truck down pit road. We'll let these trucks get started here once again on lap number 8. Coming to lap number 9 here. Green flag is out as we come down turn 1. We'll see what can occur here. Can David Alvarez keep it? And the 56 blocks up big time there. David Alvarez keeps the first place lead here. Behind, I believe it's Cameron Reichenbach in the 1.
That's what I was talking about earlier. You don't want to have extremely hard brakes here, because that's exactly what could happen to you. It could let that truck skid on you. You don't really want that to happen. And the 56 is into the wall once again. The 05 is not necessarily up to pace, it looks like. So it looks like it's pretty much Alvarez's race to lose.
We will have to see here as they cut the grass a little bit there coming out of the bus
Cameron's
stop.
actually keeping up pretty good footing here. If he can just ride these corners safely, he might still have a shot at the 68 here.
I almost thought he had it right there for a second, but he might still have a little bit of time he needs to try to pass him, as we're already past 10 to go here. And it's a very short race, but definitely doesn't seem very short here on a track like Watkins Glen. 2.56 miles, I believe. You know, maybe it's 1.5. 2.45. I always get the number messed up there.
But David Alvarez, it seems like he's getting through the corners pretty aggressively, and that might be the one thing that all the people behind him can exploit. They can use that to their advantage and get around him by just having safe corner entries. You see him slide up there, going through the S's. That's usually hitting the rumble strip in conjunction with braking, because your tires are sliding. So might want to just capitalize on that. Although it looks like we might have a battle for second place now. Cameron Reichenbach in the 029.
Yeah, seems like Cameron's starting to kind of lose as they, again, on the grass there. Very interesting that they're almost 4 tires into the grass off of the bus stop. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but definitely he's losing a little bit from David Alvarez in the 68. And it seems like everything's starting to smoothen out here, because everybody seems to have a decent gap between each other.
One of the fastest trucks here. This is pretty much his race to lose. If he, the only one that I can really see actually making a run on them would be the one of Cameron Reichenbach. But even now, he's being contested for second place.
Yeah, as we see the 029 of Julian Williams come a little closer there.
Oh, that's exactly
and the
what I was
one
talking
gets
about.
wide a little
and
bit.
They all did it there. Jeez. These guys are not getting through the corners as good as they need to be. Turn 1 might be the contested spot here, along with the bus stop, because you gotta make some pretty hard turns there and have to decrease your speed pretty drastically.
As we come through the bus stop here, seems like they all get
Oh wow,
through.
Reichenbach really made up time there. He's right on the back bumper now. He doesn't want to overdrive it though. Just keep it down there. Don't mess up. Ah.
And then 68 of David Alvarez still up top there.
The thing is that David Alvarez, he gets through the corners, like I said, pretty aggressively. The only thing that the one really needs to do right now is just run a clean lap and just make his way up there. Don't try to overdrive it, because at some point there might be a mess up. That's all he really needs to hope for right now, is that the 68 will mess up one of the corners and he'll be able to capitalize on it.
We'll have to see. It could be right here at turn 1. It's been a problem corner. We'll have to see And he goes a little
And
wide.
see, they all overdrive it. Look at the one just
The
got
029
sideways there. That's gonna
coming
allow
up on the
029
one.
to pull up on him.
And he's
and
trying to
gonna
make
go
a
right down to the bottom,
move.
but he's gonna be at a disadvantage
Cannot
there.
do it.
It's a 3-truck battle right now for the lead, and they just made up a bunch of time on the 68. I think the 68 overdrove one of the corners, and that allows the one to pull right on up. He does not want to overdrive this bus stop because that could mean worse things, and he does. Oh, but it might work out for him.
As we hop on
he
board the
does. Oh, he's
029 as they both battle, as Cameron Reichenbach back up in the lead, passing David Alvarez. We can watch this battle from behind as the 029 still tries to get up top, maybe passing David Alvarez for second even.
And he's through to the lead. All he needs now is just to run clean laps. He does not need to do anything else. Makes a good turn 8 there, coming up to turn 9. What a run for him. It didn't seem like he had that good of a truck in practice, but man, he has made it up now. 56 getting into the wall once again. I'm not sure if you saw that back there, but he did get into the wall coming off of turn 9. Oh, he overdrove it again, and everybody else did. It's incredible. You can't make up any time on these guys because they're all overdriving the corners. They're side by side for second now. The 029 is going to have the advantage going through this S. Oh, and back. Oh, he gets into the wall, but he gathers it back up side by side for second place. And he's through to second place.
David Alvarez looking for a move, coming into the bus stop, cannot do it.
David Alvarez, I'm not sure what's going on with his truck, but it is not performing the way it wants to. Now the 029 has to make up all that time behind to get up there. They're about 1 second behind the leader right now, Cameron Reichenbach. The last thing these guys need the last thing that Cameron Reichenbach needs right now is a caution, because that could allow all those guys to catch right back up.
And it'll bring everybody back together coming this late into the race, especially as we come on to lap 14 with, I believe, 5 to go
here. Really
here.
needs to worry about, because this is where everybody's been messing up, and he's about to do it again. You see, you don't want to get up along that strip. You want to. Nobody's really doing it right now. The only person I've seen actually make a good turn 1 is really the 05 of Jonathan Fitzwater, but because of his early wreck into the tire barriers, his truck is just not really in contention. These guys are really spread out now. It looks like Cameron Reichenbach, after that strong run, is pretty much now his race to lose. Wow!
So David Alvarez did lose the race. Forgive it by what you said. You said earlier it was David Alvarez's race to lose, but indeed he lost it. Now Cameron Reichenbach is race to lose now. We'll have to see though if David Alvarez can get back up to the top. But as it seems right now, he's sliding way back, and Jonathan Fitzwater trying to make a move up there for third, but I'm not sure if that will indeed happen.
We'll have to see here. I think that 029's making up a little bit of ground. I'm not sure if that's exactly true. He did slide a bit going through. Yeah, he's actually gaining on the 1. If the 1 makes a mistake right now, the 029 could definitely capitalize on it. And he said his name is Julian, right? I don't want to keep on saying 029.
I believe it is. It's not. I haven't confirmed that, but I'm making a very best guesstimate.
Well, Julian's trailing behind. If he can just keep his truck clean right now, he might have a shot at this. Because you see the 1, he's still overdriving the corners, and that's just not what you want to do, especially at a road course. You see he's getting high up there through the corners. I'll tell you what, it's just they're not making very clean laps right now, and that's unfortunate. We got a battle for third about to happen. Fitzwater has caught up with the 68, so we could see a pretty close battle there for the end.
We'll have to see, but it is interesting to see that Cameron Reichenbach might have it slipping away, as the 05 definitely went very wide into turn 9, I believe.
Julian's having a tough time with turn 9 there coming off the corner. He slides up, and that's in turn not doing much for him. Oh, I thought he was going to slide around there, but he's good. he is still gaining on the leader. If he can like just master turn 9 here in the last couple of laps, he might be able to make it up there. Although they're running out of time. You got 3 laps to go now. If there's a caution right now, the race is pretty much over from then on. Oh, through the grass. He's really trying to get every sort of corner, any sort of speed he can.
Might be getting a little too aggressive, you may argue, as they come around the bus stop. Seems like he's trying to do whatever he can, but it might not. It might even end up doing more harm than good for him, though.
I'll say this: the 68 is about 6 seconds back from second place. I don't think that he has much to lose from being aggressive, but he doesn't have much to gain either. The best he can hope for right now is that Cameron Reichenbach has some sort of trouble, spins out, or something.
029 almost spinning around.
He gets up on that rumble strip and he drives right off of it, and it gets that car sideways, that truck sideways. So, yeah, and he definitely lost some time there. Cameron Reichenbach, who's done really well in the Dirt Series so far, and in the Truck Series, is now on his way to get his first Truck Series win here at Watkins Glen.
It'll be definitely exciting as we have 2 to go right now as he heads in through the bus stop. Still the leader, and he's got quite a decent gap. If he holds it for the next lap or so, he will be your winner here at Watkins Glen, and the winner of the Coca-Cola 150.
I'll tell you what, Cameron just needs to keep his stuff together. He just needs to make sure he doesn't make any sort of mistakes. He's got enough of a gap behind him that he doesn't really have to worry about making perfect corners. All he has to do right now is just hold that truck steady. And
as we come to the final lap right here, not sponsored by Credit One Bank, takes the white flag as he comes around lap 1, turn 1 rather, and if he can hold it for the next couple of miles, he will be your winner here.
Turn 1 I've seen so far out of him.
Coming through the S's. Still got a decent gap, and the 029 is around and hits the wall. Spinning through the S's. David Alvarez coming around. Oh, and he gets out just in time. And the question is, caution out. It is not. So that means the 029's hopes and dreams have been shut right into the door through the S's there as he spins around. So Cameron Reichenbach coming through after the bus stop, coming down the straight here, coming to turn 9, as he's just a short ways away from being the winner here at the Coca-Cola 150.
Here he comes to turn 9.
He will take the final turn here, coming onto the front straightaway. And your winner, Coca-Cola 150 winner, is Cameron Reichenbach in the #1 truck today.
That was a good race. That was a very hard-fought battle, and he did everything pretty well. I mean, everybody was overdriving the corners, but he was able to capitalize on the 68's mistakes, keep his truck intact. Very, very good race today, and he actually drove a pretty clean race as well.
Absolutely, and a fantastic win for Cameron Reichenbach in the #1. Definitely an underdog, if we want to say that. We were thinking for the longest time here David Alvarez would be the winner, but he definitely came out of nowhere to grab that last.
Fitzwater having that trouble with hitting the tire barriers, and the 68, I don't know what happened to him there. Maybe it was some tire wear issues.
Absolutely, but definitely coming out of nowhere. That #1 of Cameron Reichenbach absolutely just came in as the closer and definitely passed David Alvarez for that lead. And he did indeed take the win here for the Coca-Cola 150 right here at Watkins Glen International. An incredible win for him. His first in the Truck Series, that's for sure. But definitely it was a very great win over David Alvarez, who, as again we said, we thought we would be the winner here. It seemed that it was pretty close, but it seems as if Cameron Reichenbach came out of nowhere to take this victory today. As he'll be coming to the front stretch to take his donuts here. Gets a little loose.
And that's crazy for him because he won his first dirt race last week, and now here he is this week to win his first truck race. And at very different racetracks, mind you. He hasn't won an oval race yet, a traditional oval race on concrete or asphalt. So we'll have to see if he'll be able to get one of those wins. And wow, the 05 came flying in.
Apparently the 05 wanted to ruin the day of Cameron Reichenbach, it seems, as that was clearly unexpected. Not sure what the 05 was doing that for, but... Seems as if the number 1... He wasn't really able to get started too much in the beginning, but he might just be calling it here. But Cameron Reichenbach...
You know what's even fitting now? My NR2003 just crashed.
It's alright, Jimmy. It's the end of the race anyways. Cameron Reichenbach is your winner today at the Coca-Cola 150 right here at Watkins International Speedway. You've been watching the Racin Motorsports Network right here. Again, the Coca-Cola 150 to next week. Right here, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, the Keystone Light Supertruck Series will be holding the NRA night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. Bristol Night 2014 FSE to be exact. But we will be back next week on Friday, this coming Friday that is, with Classic Cup Racing. It'll be the Gold Peak 252 at Coca-Cola Super Speedway. And we'll be there with the NASCAR Classic Cup Series, as well as the main NASCAR Series on Sunday, not Sunday, Saturday for that fact, 6 p.m. Eastern, as the main NASCAR Series tackles. It will be Sawmill Speedway, Sawmill 2018 by Action Pack Tracks. Sawmill Speedway for the NASCAR Thunder 114 will be holding at Sawmill next weekend. That's on Saturday. And as well as the Supreme All-Star Slugfest, which will be heading over to Milwaukee Dirt Mile for the Ace Hardware 150 for the Supreme All Dirt Slugfest. And again, we will be at NRA, the NRA night race will be happening next Sunday night at Bristol Motor Speedway. So, folks, that'll conclude the coverage for today. I am Sean Fay alongside Jimmy Powell, who thankfully his power did not go out, and thankfully no tornadoes destroyed him, so, and his house.
Well, we still got the aquarium coming through, so.
Definitely, especially, hopefully half your house doesn't get flooded either.
Like I said, I've always wanted a swimming pool too, so why not?
Anyways, folks, I am Sean Fay alongside Jimmy Powell. Come catch it next week, next Friday, or this coming Friday, that is, for NASCAR Classic Cup Racing right here on the Racin Motorsports Network. Good night, everybody.